Hey, welcome back. We had a busy week. It's kind of gommed up right now the way that they've got court set up. Used to we would have a plea judge and a trial judge, followed by a plea judge and a trial judge. But, nothing's perfect, not complaining. But last week was taken up. It took about a week to get through, and it was a short week, but it took about a week to get through a murder case. But we did get a conviction on a young man named Finati Neal. He was 20 years old, and Micah Presley, 16. Both of them from Florence. It was almost like a movie situation. The victim in the case, Joshua McPherson, was trying to break away and make a new life for himself. He was he had a scholarship to play football in Tennessee. A really good football player Joshua was. He had come to spend some time with his brother who was at Coastal. And Finati Neal and Micah Presley and several other ones came and killed him. It looks like it was, they really had no animosity toward him. It almost appears as though it was a hit or that someone else directed it. And you'll see from the ages, Micah Presley being 16, Neal being 20 when it came to court. They were both teenagers when this happened. But here's the deal. There is this urban legend out there or misinformation out there that if we can act together as a group and have a young man go out and commit the murders, that young man's only going to pull a year or two because he's going to be in DJJ and he's a youth. I'm here to dispel that myth. If you are being talked to or you know someone is being talked to, oh, well, don't worry about it. Your best answer is you go do what you do. But yes, they will prosecute me as an adult, and I will be serving 40 years like Micah Presley because that's what he's got, and that's day for day. So Micah is now 16. You add 40 to 16. Micah's going to be 56 years when he gets out of prison. I don't know that he'll be that much good when he gets out after being in prison for 40 years. But you and I don't have to worry about him for 40 years. Another lesson learned here is just living in Horry County. It's easy to get to where, oh goodness, these aren't our people. I've said this over and over and over. Here's proof. The victim was from Florence. The victim's brother was from Florence. He was at Coastal, but he was from Florence. The bad guys, all of them was from Florence. We live in a area where people will drive an hour and a half, and finish up their beefs with one another. Nobody's driving to Sumter to do that. Nobody's driving to Collington County. So we get over our share sometimes of bad guys coming into town. We are the fastest growing area in America, and add on top of that, 20 million tourists a year, and we're not even talking about those. These are these day trippers that come in. Finati Neal and Micah Presley stayed in Horry County at the apartments over there near Coastal maybe 10 minutes. That's pushing it. They drove an hour and a half to get here. They drove an hour and a half back. They may have stayed 10 minutes at most. It's probably closer to 5 minutes. So it's not really a tourist. It's certainly not a resident. But that's some of the crime that we get here. There's another young lady. Her name is Asia Beatty. She was 27. She was one of our locals. She's from Conway. She pled guilty back in September to voluntary manslaughter. The judge gave her 20 years. But he also gave her the ability to turn herself in at the end of the week. A lot of times people ask for that. Most of the time it's not granted. In this case it was. It's not to say that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but most of us, if we have that kind of sentence hanging over our head, are more apt to run. So it would be wise to be a lot more judicious about when we let people out. But that was done, and we put out a press release that many of you asked about. What was she doing out? Not really blaming the solicitor's office. You know, sometimes I get defensive about that. Nobody blamed us, but we are the prosecution agency. We sort of find ourselves a lot of times with the police and the victims, even though we don't represent the police and the victims. But we don't come up with the sentence. That is for a judge. We don't come up with guilt. That's for a jury. And we don't say when you turn yourself in. That's up to a judge. So it is not uncommon to say, go and serve 90 days and you can start next Wednesday. It rarely works out for us when they are told to go serve 20, 30, 40 years and turn themselves in next Wednesday. Most of the time people don't turn themselves in next Wednesday. When they don't, fortunately, Asia Beatty was caught by the U.S. Marshal Service, and she didn't commit any more crimes between when she was picked up and when she was sentenced. Now, check this. N is at the bottom of our press release. Reginald Evans and Tyler Finkley Jr. were also arrested with her. So when the task force rolled up to arrest her, they were arrested on drug warrants from Marion County. So obviously, Asia was still running with some people that at least had arrest warrants. So a lot going on this week, obviously. Usually we try to get this thing out on Monday. It's Wednesday today, but Monday and Tuesday were just jam-packed. So there'll be a lot to report on at the end of this week. But we're a little bit late getting out to you today, but have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Wednesday, and we'll check back with you next week.